Hello, my name is Emilio Paez and today I will talk about how video games have evolved and how we perceive them right now. So let's begin this journey through time. Okay, so if we count OXO, it was a digital tic-tac-toe and tennis for two, we can say that video games started since 1952, but it wasn't like very common. So commercially I would say they all started on 1972 with Magnavox Odyssey. It was a console that included two controllers, some stickers that you pasted on the screen because this console wasn't able to have like backgrounds on the game. Um, Six cartridges and some fake money like Monopoly. On this cartridge there was a ping pong game, and we could say that Pong was based on this console. After all this movement, if we could say it was, uh, other people started developing their own systems, and here is where Nolan Bushnell and Ted Dabney developed Atari. So, in 1977, Atari VCS was created and a new era for video games started. Now we jump to 1978. This year was important because more and more arcades were like common in different places, and the Space Invaders arose in arcades. So many other companies started to create their Space Invaders, and well, I don't blame them because the company was like just beginning. But there was one company that decided to make something different, and it was Namco. They launched Pac-Man. It was about this white guy that ate yellow balls and ran from four ghosts: Inky, Blinky, Pinky, and Clyde. And it also got the record Guinness on the most successful arcade game. So, in 1981, a new arcade game called Donkey Kong, developed by Nintendo, was born. Uh, but even though it sounds amazing, it wasn't going great. The home consoles were falling into perdition after Atari's despair of not having content to sell. They started accepting every work they were sent. So this meant the quality of games wasn't good. It was horrible. Games like Kitty and others were literally buried on the desert in New Mexico. Um, this might seem like the end of video games, but it wasn't. While everything here in America was going terrible, on Japan a new console was developing. It was called NES, or Nintendo Entertainment System. This was like the real rise of the video games because it did like what Atari couldn't. So this console featured games like Super Mario, The Legend of Zelda, F-Zero, Pac-Man, and a lot more. Um, it featured like quality games in an accessible price, mainly because these games were easy to falsify. And but there was one thing these video games had, and like in common, and it was that they were very hard. They were like you just have three lives and you have to make the game. It was mainly because they were arcade games and they wanted to take all of our money in trying to beat the game. And these were, even though you have the money, it was really hard. Now we go to 1994, and this year it was the year when Sony decided to launch PlayStation 1. This was like a very revolutionary console because it featured games like in 3D with better graphics, and four people were able to play at the same time. It featured titles like Resident Evil, Metal Gear Solid, Crash Trilogy, and a lot more video games. But Nintendo replied with Nintendo 64, that it was like PlayStation, but you didn't need like extra devices to play games with four people. It also features a lot of good video games like Mario 64, Super Smash Bros., GoldenEye 007, and The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask. Years later, Microsoft finally releases Xbox, a new console that competed with PlayStation 2, the Nintendo GameCube, and Sega's Dreamcast. Microsoft demonstrated that they were able to enter this competition with games like Halo and other third-party games. Maybe it wasn't the most sold console, but they had fans ready to buy their next consoles. In this case, Xbox 360. This ninth generation, the company started innovating in many different aspects. Nintendo presented the Nintendo Switch, a console that could be used in a TV, and a console that presented the same features as if you played on a TV, but this time portable. PlayStation 5 presented a powerful console and an amazing controller that features adaptive triggers, a built-in microphone, and haptic feedback, with some games taking advantage of the controller's featuring to provide more immersion. And Xbox presented Series S and X, the most powerful console up to date. It's difficult to know which one you should buy, or if you should buy one, but one thing for sure is that video games have evolved a lot, and they will continue getting updated. I don't really know what is the next step, but I'm sure it will be amazing and innovating. Okay, after all this history, now I'm able to say that retro video games are still present today, even all those years of failures. We can now get them as remasters or compilation. Sometimes is the exact same game, and some others is the same game but with add-ons like missions, music, or just better graphics. There are also some games that give like these same vibes that they are like retro, like Cuphead, Mega Man, Crash Bandicoot, Scott Pilgrim, Undertale, and a lot more. And I think that these video games evolved very well through time, and they have like this retro feeling, but not putting aside like the present. So I personally love them. In conclusion, I think no matter how many years pass, video games will always have the same essence of classics. No matter which classic, um, they all have like at least one small part that makes us feel like in the past. Thank you.